Boosh is a
loves his Sion.
big Sion top lane player. I was expecting it to come out because you always see Boosh having that Sion band against him, and now they're going to potentially look to pick up Graves for Hustlin. That has been something that he's been playing a lot recently. I think Corki and Graves he's been spamming, so he's getting that big Graves. Now, Graves is an interesting champion these days. He's sort of seen a resurgence in popularity, and a lot of it is due to the base stats buffs, which means that his passive now puts him further up that armor scale as you stack it. So he's a little bit more durable, can trade a lot better with those other AD carries. So that's where you see Graves being prioritized. And also, he's just such a great dueling AD carry. He can go toe-to-toe with Ezreal and Lucian, who are both also quite popular at the moment.
And the real strength he has as well is, you talked about that True Grit passive. If someone decides to take that Gromp first, if they're on the red side and he's on the blue side, doesn't start off at Krugs, he gets a lot of stacks on that, basically up to the 10 stacks already by the time they get into lane. And the fact that they might hit level 2 ever so slightly earlier is mitigated by those base stats that he gets. We do see Lucian and Jarvan being picked up here for Void. Now, Himaji does like his Lucian, as you said, with that Lightslinger passive, a very aggressive early game AD carry.
Yeah, I mean, Pimaji is really great on Lucian. It's actually something that Hustlin plays a lot as well, so Hustlin will know how to go toe-to-toe with him. But Pimaji, decent AD carry in his own right too, so Lucian, big pickup for him. Kelton, I don't think I've ever seen him play anything but Jarvan. He plays a lot of this champion, so looking forward to seeing how he brings that out. And going to be Orianna for End Limit. That's a big champion for him, because he's so good on Xerath and Orianna. He's like the cornerstone. He's the anchor for the UNiTE team. If he plays well, UNiTE generally tend to go on to snowball really hard. And obviously it's probably going to be Morgana's support coming in for Graves. That's really powerful because it allows Graves to negate any form of CC onto top of him and allow him to get close to be able to use that buckshot the most effectively that he can.
It gives you the ability to use quick draw a little bit more aggressively. It's something we see as well if Graves plays with a Thresh, because he knows he's got the Dark Passage, the Lantern from Thresh, to get out of it in the end as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see an aggressive support coming out here from Flash My Tash. He likes Nami some of the time, he likes Sona as well, but he does really enjoy playing Thresh as well. I wouldn't be surprised by that. People say that you can't play Thresh into a Morgana matchup because of the Black Shield.
No.
But if you get your Flay up to max rank, you can automatically destroy that Black Shield with the magic damage and then land the hook.
You don't even need to get your Flay to max rank. You can actually bait out with a Flay first and then wait for it to drop off and use your hook. You can even do what a lot of pro Thresh players do, which is they do take that Flay first, they level it first so it has that shorter cooldown. They use it and bait the magic shield out.
And then hook the other one.
And then even when the magic shield's on, you can still get to them. It just doesn't give you the CC. And then use the Flay afterwards, again, when it's come off cooldown. There's so many ways you can outplay Morgana as Thresh, but obviously Morgana has that flat ability to keep her AD carry safe against just, you know, point-blank hooks and things. But this is going to be Lissandra. Now, knowing Perilous Void, Joe can play Lissandra mid lane, but I've also seen Splosive play a lot of Lissandra top lane, and we are seeing Lissandra's a big flex pick at the moment. She doesn't give anything away because she means that you pick it, you don't know where it's going to go. Obviously, they've already picked their mid lane on the side of UNiTE. It's going to make little difference to them, but they have to now think about whether they will be going up against it in top lane, and that's a Kassadin for Boosh. I have seen him play Kassadin too. We'll get on to the Xin Zhao pick in a minute, but Kassadin's come back in terms of sort of a rising force. He's been mainly picked against things like Rumble because that Void, that Null Sphere gives you that shield, means you can negate the majority of the flame splitter damage. So he's sort of seen a rise in popularity because of that, and you do tend to just go for this flat AP build, Rod of Ages into sort of whatever the hell you want essentially. There's so many build paths after that. But if it is against Lissandra, I'll be interested to see how that runs out, because as soon as he gets to 6, he'll then start to potentially have a bit of an advantage in terms of engagement. But before that, he's going to really struggle to go up against Lissandra.
I think the problem for him is as well, if he does use that Riftwalk aggressively against Lissandra after you hit level 6, she's always got Frozen Tomb. She can always lock you down. And if Jarvan's coming in for a gank as well, that's a lot of prolonged CC that's going to shut you out. Ring of Frost and Frozen Tomb is a good 3 seconds of stun. And if you can't Riftwalk back out of it quickly enough, you're going to go down relatively rapidly. Now, Kassadin now we see with quite a tanky build usually in the top lane. Rod of Ages, maybe a Zonya's, maybe even a Frozen Heart as well we see sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah, you do see that.
I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for a lot more tanky than we used to see Kassadin.
Now this is Splosive taking that Lissandra in the top lane, so it will be a Lissandra going up against Kassadin now. Lissandra will obviously have the pure rage advantage. She's got a lot of harass in the form of her Q and auto attacks, and Kassadin will look to struggle to deal with that, especially because Q is on a very short cooldown, shorter than the Null Sphere, means that she can get a lot more harass down. And obviously she can use minions to get the break damage. It splits as it hits a minion, and it's easier when the Ice Shard breaks to get harass down. So, but obviously she's not known for flat big damage.
No,
you know,
she's prolonged damage.
She's prolonged damage. She's going to look to harass him out of lane. But if obviously casting, more than likely going to see him take a flask early on, and then he'll just look to sustain the lane out. You can actually play very safely as casting. It's quite easy to farm under turret with your null blade, so your nether blade. You can get the auto attacks into minions. You know, it gives you that extra prowess when farming under turret. And actually, you can survive lane fairly easily as a casting these days. Not the same sort of risky pick that he used to be. Obviously, he used to be quite risky. Now, this is probably one of Joe Torres' biggest champions, Fizz. So he plays Fizz, Ahri, Kayle, and Akali. And those were basically his 4 champions that he spammed in solo queue, in all of the games we've seen him play. If he gets rolling...
Oh, he's going to be so difficult to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with Joe in the mid lane is he has the potential to either go really big, as his name suggests, or not at all. He'll go something like 0-7. It's going to be one of these games. I think against a kind of force like UNiTE, they're going to look to exploit the fact that Joe can easily be put onto tilt. I wouldn't be expecting to see Joe go crazy big unless he looks to outplay N-Limit, but we know N-Limit is such a great mid laner, so I really doubt we're going to see Joe making a but he's so cheesy. That's the thing about Joe in this mid lane. His play style is level 2 all in, level 3 all in, just literally try and gain the advantage from an aggressive play early on. He doesn't have any bars when it comes to taking on a mid laner, no matter their rank, no matter their prowess, no matter their reputation.
Very, very.
In fact, this is an interesting little bit of a tidbit story I'll tell you about Joe. He beat Froggen in lane in a normal. I know Frog was in a normal, but he just by going so aggressive,
all out.
He was just all out, you know. And he actually won the game. And I think it was against Froggen and another player, but he managed to beat Froggen basically. And the guy doesn't have a sort of a Cortex for reputation. He just goes, I'm an aggressive player. I win by these all-ins. And if I can get rolling, I can get rolling. And, you know, once he does get that confidence behind him, once he gets some kills, be looking to see him make aggressive plays all over the map, because that's what he does.
I'm really interested about that pick into an Orianna, though. As much as you can be comfortable on Fizz, Orianna, with her Command Protect, is very safe in lane. Fizz will try and jump on top of her, but she's got that Hextech wind-up on her passive as well, so she gets extra auto-attack damage. Fizz is a melee champion. He struggles to farm against ranged champions, and Orianna is one of the safest ranged mid laners and gets extra damage on her auto attacks. It's going to be difficult, and we see actually N-Limit picking up the Ignite as well, so it shows that he expects Joe Torres to go onto him, and then he'll ignite him and go aggressive in return.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be looking to get harassed down. Obviously, Orianna had that recent nerf a couple of months ago, toned down how much the auto attack scales early on. You used to be able to auto attack at level 1 and almost get someone to half health, like just so ridiculously easily. So that's been toned down a bit, brought back a little bit, and it means that melee laners have a little bit of an easier time. Obviously, that tends to scale up again as you get more levels, but if Joe plays it right, I expect him to go for Flask. If he goes for a Doran's Ring, then you're going to be expecting a level 2 all-in or something like that. But
it's so predictable, though, when you see Fizz going for Doran's Ring.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to know, you know what's coming when it's going for Doran's Ring. But then you know what's coming if he comes in the Crystalline Flask. You know he's going to be playing fairly defensively. And then we've got that Xin Zhao in the jungle.
We didn't talk about this, actually.
This is massive, actually, because Xin Zhao has again found another resurgence in popularity. I feel like we say that every few months. Xin Zhao just comes out of the woodwork, brandishing his spear and saying, haven't you guys forgot about me? But, I mean, if we look at the jungle nowadays, 420 has introduced a massive change, as everyone knows. There is so much in Xin's kit that allows him to become a powerful jungler in this patch. He's got fantastic sustain through the form of his W. Every 3 auto attacks, you get that health back. And people underestimate how much health that is in the early game. You can clear the jungle without having to go back, unlike a lot of other junglers, unlike what you'd expect maybe from Xin Zhao. And obviously he has a knock-up and leaves the minions a little bit of time to reduce auto attacks onto him. And then he's got such great gank presence through that form of Audacious Charge into the 3-talent strike.
It's so strong. And Crescent Sweep as well, as you get later.
Exactly, and then you go for the Ranger's Trailblazer, and suddenly it's Audacious Charge, Smite, and you've cleared a minion camp. It's just really strong, and that's why Xin Zhao he's basically a jack of all trades of the jungle. He's got pretty decent early on ganks, obviously no particularly hard CC, he has to get straight on top of a champion, has to be in with a short range for Audacious Charge. He's got pretty good sustain, not as good as Warwick, not as good as other champions, but he's a jack of all trades, a safe jungle pick. And it's a bit like Jarvan, he's got pseudo sustain through the form of his Golden Aegis. Obviously gives that shield when he uses it. So Jarvan's also got a bit of pseudo-sustain there, gets the armor, gets the shield, and Jarvan will never... I don't think you'll ever see Jarvan not be popular, just because of what he brings to the table.
It's the cataclysm as you get later into the game, and it's the knock-up as he comes in with that Dragon Strike into the Massian standard as well. He's an all-round very good jungler, and he brings people together for the enemy, for you to put AoE spells onto them and to put shockwaves and such down as well.
And it's not only that, he's got really good early game presence as well. I mean, the flag and drag combo is the most coveted form of ganking, essentially. If you can get a knock-up with it, you do a lot of damage. He's got that big early auto-attack in Martial Cadence. Does a lot of percentage health-based damage.
So and it helps you clear the jungle as well.
It does, really, really it really does.
One thing we haven't talked about, UNiTE's team comp. If Xin Zhao is getting into the backline with that Crescent Sweep, that counteracts both the ultimate coming out from Morgana, that Soul Shackles, where you want everyone quite close together, and the Shockwave coming out from Orianna. Now, I expect to see them either trying to just pick off one champion with the Shockwave and knock everyone else back with the Crescent Sweep, or Shockwaving and saving the Crescent Sweep until later on, and then using that to perhaps try and disengage the fight as they go in. We are onto the Rift now, guys. It's UNiTE on the blue side versus Perilous Void, the first game here of Group B of the Four Nations, and it's going to be a great one.
Absolutely crazy. This is the opening game of this fantastic tournament. This is all the group stage action coming to you from this weekend. Next weekend will be the live action finals, where they'll be competing for €8,000.
Yeah, and this is live action as well. It's not recorded or anything. We are ready to get into the game. And Xcounter just mucked up his overlays there for a second, so I was just fixing that one for him. But we are just defensive starts from both teams. More defensive coming out from Void. They've just placed wards all along this river. UNiTE are trying to see if we do have Pimaji trying to check out onto this bush, but he's going to back away as well. And I think UNiTE actually might be deciding to go for a little bit of a late invade here. Pimaji does have his trinket available and is going to ward that bush. The ward will be spotted out as well by UNiTE, so they're just going to back away, rotate up towards their red buff probably.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a very standard starts coming out from these guys. You wouldn't expect anything less. It's so difficult now to get a good invade off because of the way that speed buff works. You have that little grace period where you have purchasing. They're not... Basically, Riot aren't taxing you on the ability to purchase your items anymore, so they give you that little bit of a grace period to buy them, and then you get that speed boost to get you out into the jungle, which means you can get early wards down, early vision control, make sure you can reduce the... risk of an invade coming. But obviously it works in a counteractive way also. The fact that if you group up and then go towards a single entrance and it's not covered also gives you an easy accessibility to invade the jungle too. But you don't tend to see jungle invades in 420. A lot of reason is because people are still getting used to the jungle and how an invade will affect your overall jungle clear, because obviously they don't start buffs really anymore. You start and smite the small camps to get those buffs, and so obviously you get the Grump buff, which gives you that Thornmail-like passive early on, or you start at the Krugs, which gives you that stun passive, and a lot of them are key for an easy jungle clear, and especially for both these champions. Xin Zhao really makes good use of that stun.
Yeah, it really does. With the 3 Talon Strike, you can get that off very quickly and just stun up the red buff. And because jungle camps do so much more damage now, getting that stun every 1st and 5th auto attack is actually really, really helpful. And as is being able to get a knock-up or something like that. So both Xin Zhao and Jarvan actually helped out a lot by their kit in the jungle, just mitigating some damage coming out. Flash My Tash is going to land a hook onto Hustling. They're going to go in. The exhaust is already down. Pimaji is getting a lot of damage down. Relentless Pursuit's in. There's the Ignite. The heal comes out. Hustling goes so low, but will survive through that Ignite. And Coco Pops will just make Pimaji and Flash My Tash back away, but a great early start here for Perilous Void. Yeah,
really, really good early hook there by Flash My Tash. And actually, it gives a massive advantage here to the bot lane in Perilous Void. They're going to have so many minions in their favor. If they can push this wave quickly, Graves will lose a lot to tower. In the early stages, that's really bad for Graves.
He's gone 4 pots as well.
He's a lot of gold wasted there into sustain, and a lot of experience can be missed here. Obviously, Coco Pops will pick this up, but you don't really want all of that going down onto your support. You ideally, obviously, want it going onto your AD carry. So he's missed basically a wave and a half there, going to be behind in a significant portion of experience.
Here comes Razor for the game from top lane. It does just look like Explosive will be able to get himself away with that claw, Frozen Claw, just walking himself away. And that's the thing about Lissandra. She's very safe in the top lane. If she can stun you up as well with that Ring of Frost, she's able to get away relatively safely. As soon as Boosh hits level 6, that's when I think we'll see a little bit more pressure in this top lane. And they've both got teleports as well. Kassadin and Lissandra don't need an Ignite or an Exhaust or something like that on them to be effective in fights. So taking the teleport means they can get down to the Dragon fights. And with Dragon being so much more important now, I expect to see some early fights along that river.
Yeah, obviously it's not really important for the snowball aspect, but it gives you so much pressure in terms of later dragons, because obviously you don't want to be giving away too many dragon buffs. I have never seen a team win when they've lost 5 dragon buffs to the enemy team. That's just, that 5 dragon buff is just so powerful if you get to that stage, but that's why it's worth the risk of investing early on. If you can look to invest early on and build up those dragon buffs quickly, you have the potential to go on to have that ridiculous late game buff, which is basically like Baron on steroids, essentially. It is
Baron on steroids. It gives you such a big buff. 16% AD and AP, 30% extra damage to towers, 30% extra damage to minions, 10% movement speed. Like, they nerfed Janna's passive when it was 8% movement speed to the entire team. Imagine getting 10% for your
And it gives everyone on your team a pseudo red buff.
Yeah.
You get that true damage over time, which is absolutely fantastic too. Jotorius already starting to struggle against UNiTE and Limit doing a great job of taking advantage of his range. We actually have seen Jotorius go for the Doran's ring start, so he's already run out of sustain. He's going to have to clear this wave down, but a little bit behind on CS as this goes towards the early starts of his laning phase. But he hasn't been taken down low enough that it's been a threat to him. He's behind about 10 CS, going to be a significant portion in the early game in terms of AP, but once he hits 6, once he gets a little bit of input from his jungler potentially, there is potential to take down and limit fairly easily.
Speaking of junglers, Boosh has to flash away in the top lane because Carlton was coming in for the gank. Explosive tried to engage onto him, wasn't close enough for that Ring of Frost, but the flash is burnt now on Boosh. Of course, when he hits level 6, he won't worry too much about that flash being down.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's going to hit level 6 very soon too. He's already over halfway towards it, so that rift won't going to be available. And I think Carlton knows it, potentially looking for a regank here as Explosive just heads back towards base. But again, Caston having a pretty decent time. He's ahead on CS, which is what you probably wouldn't expect, but Lissandra not known to being heavy damage in the early game. Loads of build paths open to Lissandra as well. She's gone for that Chalice of Harmony, but there are so many ways you can build Lissandra. I feel like Explosive's got a lot of options on the table here.
Ooh, the bot lane here for Void needs to be careful because here comes Razor from the side. He's going to jump on Flash My Tash and she gets Dark Binding and will go down. First blood going across to UNiTE. A great little gank there by Razor. He's going to jump back onto Pimagi just to get some harassment down, but needs to be a little bit careful. Of course, now with Relentless Pursuit, that dash from Pimagi costing a little bit of mana. He needs to be a bit careful about how he uses it because he is quite low on mana at the moment, but he will back away.
It's not a free escape anymore. No. Obviously, you've got to make the decision as when you want to use it aggressively, when you need to save it for defensive capabilities. But like I said, this is going to be a massive for hustling right now for 2 reasons. Picked up the first blood, now worth a little bit more gold than it used to be, and now he's got this minion wave pushing towards him too. So that minion deficit quickly going to be grabbed back by the Irish bot lane here. So a little bit of an early level 2 cheese all in from Void, and they're suddenly starting to look a little bit more shapely, this UNiTE bot lane.
And he's got enough gold to go back and get his BF sword as well, which is big. There's only a pickaxe picked up on Pimagi, and it's going to be difficult for them to trade in that lane now. I was going to talk earlier, Flash My Tash has that runic shield, so he's got, relic shield, so he's got a little bit of sustain in that lane, but it's not enough to fight up against that buckshot with a BF sword.
Yeah, I mean, essentially going for those pots has worked out for Hustlin here because he essentially only just had enough an early dragon as this bot lane backs.
This is a great
call. This is a great call coming out from Perilous Void, and very, very sensible for them to take this off the map because they're knowing that they're going to start to lose this bot lane pressure. Once you start to lose bot lane pressure, you open up the team to focus you for ganks, you open up the team to come down and try and make something of this bot lane and then rotate around for dragon. Taking that dragon off the map makes ganking bot lane a little bit less of an option for the UNiTE jungler Razor, but he probably still will look to exploit it, as that's the lane that's really starting to win for them.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing Jotorius come for some ganks in the bot lane as well, because they've got a lot of CC coming out from Flash My Tash with the Flay, with the hook as well. The box is about to be leveled up as well as soon as he hits level 6. They can lock down either Hustlin or Coco Pops pretty easily, and then Jotorius comes in and tries to get that Chum the Waters down, tries to jump onto them with the Urchin Strike as well, and he's not doing well in his own lane, so he needs to go somewhere else.
Exactly, that's exactly what I expect from Joe, because he's starting to look to like he's really struggling in terms of CS against this Orianna. 20 CS down at this point. He really needs to be looking to make a presence on the map because he's not going to really get anything out of his lane at this point. And Joe's pretty good at roaming usually, but I think he obviously, as you've always got to be worried as a hook comes down onto Morgana, don't expect that to be followed up, but you've got to worry against an Orianna. Her wave clear is so good, and her tower pushing is so good that if you look to roam, you may actually just end up losing your turret, which is big for the mid lane. The mid lane turret is possibly the most important turret to get in this early game. It gives you so much map control, gives you so much presence around your jungle. If you lose that, you basically lose the safety of the entrances to both your red side and blue side jungle, which means you can look to have your buffs taken away from you. There's lots of stuff that can go wrong if that mid lane tower goes down, especially early on.
Explosive is backed again in the top lane. He's picked up that Phoenix Codex, so going towards the Athenes and Holy Grail, as you were saying.
Yeah.
Catalyst on Boosh means he'll be going towards Rod of Ages, and he needs to get that relatively soon if he wants it stacking up quickly. If you can get a fully stacked Rod of Ages by about 20 to 25 minutes, you're doing well in that top lane.
You're doing okay, yeah. So in the next 5 minutes, if he looks to finish up that Rod of Ages, he'll have a decently stacked, or fully stacked rather, by about 15 minutes. That's not too bad here for Boosh. I'm really interested, though. He's starting to really dominate on the CS. I think you're just seeing some mechanical skill difference coming up between these two teams. Obviously, UNiTE, very, very good in terms of their individual mechanical skill. All of them at the top of their game, really. And Void, a bit more of a team-playing game.
Yeah.
They look to
enjoy their team.
Exactly.
You can see that from their comp as
and
well.
from the Dragon calls, they make these early team-orientated decisions. But Explosive really not having a good time. And now I'm interested about this Athenes on Holy Grail pickup, because a lot of people would tout that it's more gold efficient and better for you to pick up the Morellonomicon.
Yeah.
But
especially
maybe
since the changes to mana regeneration in 4.20.
The big changes to mana regeneration actually means Morellonomicon is quite gold efficient at this point in terms of AP as well. But maybe he's looking for the extra magic resistance against a double AP comp. Although it's marginal with Athenes on Holy Grail, but it's still viable. And obviously, if you want to have that little bit of extra magic resistance, it's probably the item to go for. But if you're looking for sort of a flat AP burst or a power spike, Morellonomicon generally tends to be the item that people like to focus down on. But right now, it's getting a bit stagnant, and I think Void are really looking to try and do something on the map. There's a lot of wards down for UNiTE. They had all the right wards in all the right places at this point, and Kelton being locked backwards. He's going to stick around, though, on the top of this pink ward as he backs, as Razor is looking to try and make a play in this bot lane, as we thought he potentially would do. Haven't seen a massive gap close in terms of dominance in this lane right now. P-Magi and FlashMyTash still having a decent time of it. They're not getting bullied out. I would have thought Hustlin would have chosen to be a little bit more aggressive at this point. But just sitting on that BF sword and farming it away. And P-Magi, the only member really of Perilous Void that's keeping up in CS with his corresponding lane opponent.
Yeah, I think you kind of expect Fizz to go behind in his lane, especially against an Orianna who's got that good wave player. I would have liked to see Jotorius going for a little bit more aggression. We haven't watched a huge amount of mid lane, so maybe he's been going for it and it just hasn't been paying off, because in Limit, very safe with that command attack and command protect that we were talking about. But at the moment, I think UNiTE are definitely in the commanding position here. They did lose that early dragon, so they're a little bit behind on sort of late game objectives, but 1,600 gold ahead. Razor's coming down for a gank in the bot lane again, and Imagine FlashMyTash have been very careful. They've got this pink ward. They're just going to call the wave as well. This might actually be the sign for UNiTE to engage, because imagine there's the lantern. FlashMyTash does get caught out again. Razor jumps in. A nice soul shackles from Coco Pox. FlashMyTash hooks Razor under the tower. Can they get the counter kill? They can't.
Oh,
the
teleport
is coming in. It's very, very late though. Lissandra is here. Does cancel it out. Meanwhile, mid lane in Limits getting jumped on by Jotorius. And there's the Cataclysm as well. Shockwave comes out, but that is a very dead Orianna. Kaiden might go down to the ignite. He does a counter kill. And meanwhile, bot lane, we saw another kill coming out. Hustlin picking up that P-Magi.
Yeah, that was just a bit... Actually, I don't think Explosive cancelled his teleport. I believe Boosh used the Null Sphere, which cancels channeled abilities. So he managed to get that out, and that was a very easy pickup for him to make. He does have that Rift Walk, so Explosive not being too... let's say discreet by his teleporting. He looked like he teleported basically straight in lane. So that was an easy pickup and an easy cancel, and a big swing for gold here in terms of UNiTE. They've got a 2.5k gold advantage, which actually you may not think is a lot, but in patch 420 it's so much more difficult to get global gold on the board with the removal of the dragon gold that actually 2.5k is actually a fairly amount.
Explosive, it does a bunch of damage. Explosive's going to have to back away again. Rod of Ages completed 12 minutes into the game. That's going to be stacking up very, very quickly. And I think one of the things about that gank was that teleport came in very, very late. I feel like it was a bit of a, should I come in? The team didn't really respond, and then Explosive was like, okay, I'm coming in now. Didn't think about his positioning because it was so late. If he'd had a couple of seconds to get himself back beneath his tower, then Boosh has to jump under the tower. You can Frozen Tomb him there if he does go in for you, and then you get a kill in the top lane.
I like this from... Perilous Void. They're going for this Dragon Timer. They know that they don't have an exact Dragon Timer, but the behavior of FlashMyTash really defensive play around those ward areas in the Dragon meant that UNiTE kind of had a bit of an idea, so this will be a bit of an engage.
As well. Explosive's going to go very low already. Collateral damage comes out. He pops the ultimate on himself. The Dragon's down to 1,000 HP, but it has reset. Jump Motors on the back line. Boosh is going to go very low. He does get the kill on Spartan. Joe does manage to help out Pimaji, picking up that Graves. Hustling has gone down. Razor is there onto Joe. And Limit there with a shot. They locks up two. There goes Boosh back into the fight. Flash Matash goes down. Explosive's going to be the next target. And a great little combo here from the mid and top laner from UNiTE. Mean they win the team fight. A double kill for Limit. Joe Torius is going to have to back away. He's actually deciding to engage here onto Coco Pops, not bound under the tower. Joe Torius gets jumped on by Boosh. He will try and fight this one out, but he won't manage to get the kill.
No.
And UNiTE get a superb team fight around Dragon.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Dragon control just wasn't discreet enough there from Perilous game. I'm going to get a bit of a replay here. You see the teleport coming down. The Dragon is very low at this point. They could have potentially burst it, but there's the engage. Explosive ults himself, which is the sensible idea. Joe goes into the backline, getting Hustling down, but it doesn't matter. It's all about Boosh and Limit at this point as Joe Torius gets knocked out. They're looking to go on to Razor, but look at the shockwave here. Locks two people up, and Boosh gets in with that Netherblade and that Null Sphere and cleans it up. That was all Limit and Boosh at that point. They completely turned that around, and the Dragon is still available as Flash My Touch gets locked up again.
It's caught up again. Hustling's going to go in there. Got an Infinity Edge already. Razor's there, and Hustling picks up his 4th kill of the game. Great team play here by UNiTE. They rotated around to this Dragon, knew that they would be at least a little bit of presence coming out from Void. And Void are slowly descending into the darkness here as UNiTE start to take a little bit of a
slowly descending into the void.
Yeah, you could, but I didn't want to use the name of the team.
Oh, no.
Anyway, that's the Dragon's
the obvious one.
Game for UNiTE.
The obvious one right there. Always go for the obvious one. As they look to take down this mid lane tower. A bit of a trade here for Void, so not all things
UNiTE
lost.
might get round on this, though.
I don't know. Joe's pretty slippery on that bit.
He's a very slippery fish, it's true. He will just managed to actually juke them out, backs away across towards the red side of the jungle. Now that might not have been the best decision because Hustling can come down. Boosh is there as well with the
Joe, what are you doing, buddy?
Chums the waters onto Limit. He won't pick up that kill. Command Protect is too strong. He jumps across towards the red buff, but Boosh follows him across. And that's a killing spree on Boosh. 3-0-3 now in the top lane.
That's just classic Joe right there. The guy loves to BM, and unfortunately gets him caught out there as he tries to juke back around. They weren't even chasing him. He could have easily got away to the blue side jungle, but chose to run back towards the red side.
Flash My Tash gets caught up again, and it's the 3rd time we've seen a binding leading to his death. Unstoppable Limit in the mid lane side. He is unlimited in his level of skill at the moment.
I mean, to be honest, that was just Flash My Tash being an absolute magnet like he has been all game for those bindings in the bot lane around the Dragon.
Boosh gets a 4th Explosive. A Frozen Tomb comes out. Explosive doesn't have his escapes available. There's no flash. Boosh is going to chase it and will get it with that Null Sphere. Boosh actually maxing that first means that he had enough damage to get the kill.
Yeah, and he's got that Rod of Ages, which will more than likely be going towards either a Zhonya's or a Rabadon's. I wouldn't expect to see the fabled DFG casting coming out, as that doesn't particularly have the same viability as it used to. And Void right now, they're not looking happy. They are definitely struggling in this early group stage game, and they've got a lot of a harder mountain to climb up as well. They've got their sister team, Rift, one of the favourites to go on to win the tournament. And Choke Gaming, who obviously we know have just won I-53. These guys are also one of the favourites to go on to win. You've got 2 of the favourites to win the tournament in the group, and going up against UNiTE, who are also particularly strong in terms of overall team play and skill together as a team. Void are going to struggle against everybody today, I think.
The thing about UNiTE is because they're an Irish team, they're not recognised as much in the UK scene. We don't see them at Insomnias, we don't see them at Epic Lands, and we don't see them at a lot of the sort of common events that we have. So people don't appreciate actually how good UNiTE are. I mean, they're the best Irish team at the moment. They're playing superbly in this game, and they're really, really dominant. Hustling in the Limit, really doing great work in this game.
I think they can surprise a lot of teams in this group stage, because a lot of things that you see in terms of teams coming into the UK scene, especially Irish teams coming over and displaying what they've got, you don't see people research them enough. They may not know what they've got behind them. Obviously the Scion pick is an easy piece of research, but what else in terms of UNiTE? What do they play like as a team? And you start to see them really come up against these UK teams and show them that actually Ireland has got a lot to offer in terms of esports prowess.
Oh, definitely. Boosh actually picking up a kill in the bot lane while that mid lane push was going on, just jumping straight onto Pimaji and absolutely destroying him. Sorry that we missed that one on the camera, guys. Hopefully it will be the first and last kill miss of the day.
It just means, I think, things are going to happen so quickly at this point with how far UNiTE are ahead. Catching everything will be difficult.
And I think Flash My Tash might actually be something that UNiTE are aiming to catch here. He's positioned himself just around the top lane. UNiTE trying to put a little bit of a death bush going in. Jotorius coming from the side as well. They have vision of him at the moment. Hustling's coming across. The binding comes in. Jotorius gets called out, and that is a dead fish. Cod and chips for dinner tonight, please, love. Jotorius goes down.
I'm not sure Fizz is a cod, but almost
close enough.
Would you eat Fizz?
Yeah, I'd eat Fizz.
Would you eat Fizz? I'm
a big fish fan.
I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would.
Fizz with a side order of Nami.
Nami? Really? Yeah. Mermaid? Are you sure that tastes nice?
I don't know.
Anyway, that was a big catch. I think they were looking to make catches around that red area. To pick off a key target, you can say towards this point in the game, if you're looking to prioritize red vision control and they don't know about it, you're always going to catch a very high priority target, either the AD carry, the jungler, or potentially the top laner at that point in time. So there's a lot of high priority targets you can pick around this red area, and UNiTE knew it. Baron obviously not spawning 15 seconds. Early Barons are very hard to pull off at this point.
Baron does a lot more damage than it used to do.
I very unlikely to see UNiTE go for a 20-minute Baron, but they're just looking to garner control of this red side and jungle, and all of that snowballing from their early game lead that they had, especially with that mid-lane tower take, allowed them to get that deep vision wards in and stuff like that. So UNiTE just taking advantage of the map control they have right now, and Void looking a little bit lost.
The problem for Void at the moment is that no one can face up Boosh alone. So that we see Jotorius is having to come across to try and get help with explosive side to get the kill onto Kassadin, but Boosh is so big. He's got a Rabadon's death cap as well, and it means that he can 1v2 split push, and then it leaves a 3v4 for UNiTE in the top lane, meaning that they should be able to get a lot of damage.
Yeah,
Carlton gets caught.
Oh, the shockwave!
That was gorgeous. Flash My Tash goes in. Carlton gets taken out. Actually, Razor taking some of the water to the Cocoa Pot. So Magic gets taken down. Boosh is teleported in. Explosive with the Frozen Tomb is going to go very low, and Jotorius there as well, but the shockwave was absolutely gorgeous.
That was pinpoint on edge shockwave right there. It caught every member that was defending that tower right on the boundaries of its skill ability, and that is why you don't give End Limit Orianna, ladies and gentlemen, because he can do things like that.
Absolutely destroyed them. They get the tower as well. We did see Boosh teleporting in just to get that kill at the end, and at the moment, Perilous Void need a good team fight to get back into this game. 17 kills to 3 down.
They need more than that.
They need a few good team
fights. They need a Baron steal, and they need to get some Dragons back on the board too. The Dragons up in 13 seconds. I wouldn't expect any sort of contention coming out from Perilous Void, but you know, it could happen in some sort of weird, twisted world. Void could potentially get a fantastic team fight around this Dragon.
Got Jarvan. Jarvan is a good stealer because he can EQ in and then smite and then flash out if he's able to, or even flash in.
But they don't really have a teamfight composition, Perilous Void. They've got a pick composition. You've got Lissandra and Fizz, two big damage dealers that are all about picking off singular targets. You need to be able to get picks in the enemy jungle with these guys to look to snowball the game. Right now, you're looking to make picks in your own jungle, which is 10 times harder to do because the enemy are moving in and taking their own vision control of that area. So their comp just isn't good from behind, especially Fizz and especially Lissandra.
Has to back away. Like, you can't even do blue buff anymore. It's going to go across the Gwen limit. And that will be the second Dragon of the game and a blue buff for limit. They're going to push down onto this bot lane in a tower. Now, that shield will be helpful for the side of Perilous Void, of course, stacking up to about, I think it's about 300 health shield, but it's going to be very difficult for them to defend against a very strong UNiTE team. Razor might even come in around from the backside here to try and get onto this Perilous Void team. Yeah,
P Magi hasn't even made his way back yet. He's going to have to slowly force his way towards his turret. There's a big catch on explosive.
Oh, the shockwave again! Frozen Tomb explosive push does pick up Flash My Tash. There's the catapult going in. Jotorius and Hustling has gone down. Carlton is getting taken out by Boosh as well. They're going to jump onto Jotorius. The Force Pulse comes out. He jumps back into the fray, but not going to be able to survive for long. Gets taken down. A triple kill for Boosh. And great team fighting from UNiTE again with a gorgeous shockwave to start it off.
You could almost say that was guaranteed to happen. End Limit is just so good at picking people off. And Boosh!
Look at the damage. Half of the Magic health has gone down. Explosive has to jump off to the side. Boosh is going to rift walk towards Pimagi again and is legendary. See, I had to wait for a second, so I wasn't quite sure where he was going to rift walk, but he did go back into Pimagi, picks up his kill. He's 10-0. The wave will come up pretty quickly here, and although Hustling got taken down quite quickly in that fight, UNiTE Gaming still managed to win it out.
I mean, Perilous Void right now at the bottom of a chasm. They're beyond the void at this point. There's no way they can claw their way back out without some form of League of Legends Rift miracle here. It's going to be so difficult. And to be honest, it's kind of the result everyone expected coming into the game, but you know, if Jotorius did get a little bit more snowbally, did have a little bit more presence around the map, there may have been a bit of a change. But UNiTE, they were the favourites coming into this game, and they're showing why they're one of the favourites to qualify from groups. If they can get a game off Choke or Rift later on, I would expect them to go all the way through at this point, because they're looking strong. We haven't seen Choke and Rift play yet. I think we're seeing them next. Yeah. So we'll get a good idea to the strength of those two teams. But
I think it might be Void versus Rift.
Oh, is it Void versus Rift? So the sister teams going up against each other, or rather they prefer to be called brother teams.
Yeah, brother teams.
But UNiTE, if they could pick up a game of 2 of the big boys in this group.
Because the top 2 people qualify. All it takes is one good game. Well, UNiTE playing well anyway. One great game from them or a bad game from one of their opponents that can just help them secure that second place spot, and then they'll be playing next week in the semi-finals.
And you know, people don't, you know, Choke may disagree with me, but I think Choke have the potential to go really big, but they also have the potential to tilt as well. The thing about Choke is that they have got a lot of presence through Numlocked and Alchemist. Numlocked is a blinking fantastic top lane player, and their mid laner DX, he's got this ridiculously wide champion pool that you just cannot predict what he's going to play.
Oh, Razor jumping onto Jotorius big, but BIG side. He will get knocked back there by Explosive with the Ring of Frost. But look at how aggressive
Coco Pops
can be. Coco Pops gets caught out to the side, does splash away, but the binding onto P-Magic. Legendary boost. He's going to Rift Walk again in towards Calton. The shotgun hits onto Calton. That is a dead Jarvan. He's now Jarvan the 5th because he's gone down a few too many times. You're not going to push down mid lane.
Didn't realise League of Legends became a rogue RPG where you died and your and your son took over from you. So I think we'd be on about Jarvan the 10th right now if it was if we were going by true skills. But yeah, as we're saying, Baron potentially on the cards for UNiTE. They're going to go clear out some vision control. They know that pink board was there as they passed it earlier. It's going to go down very quickly as the rest of the team roll round. They've got complete control of this Baron area. Void really don't have much to say about this at this point. I don't think they're even going to bother contesting. It doesn't even look like they're that bothered. I think they know it would be complete suicide to attempt to take
especially with Boosh 11 and 0. He picked up another needlessly large rod. Absolutely massive. It looks like it might actually be a death by bot coming out. He's picked up. Amplifying, so of course can build into that Zhonya's.
Can build into the Zhonya's. I mean, if it is death by grasp, it's not the most useful item. Yes, it's Zhonya's. It's not the most useful item of casting, but it will mean he'll be able to.
The amount of burst damage.
Yeah, the amount of burst damage. But you can only really build it if you're very far ahead. A DFG casted in equal or behind is not the most useful item to get. But Zhonya's makes a lot more sense as Explosive and Jotorius looking to make a cheesy pick in this bot lane.
Can't blame them. This is what they need. They need to just get a
few
kills. They need
this about 20 times over though. This is one, you know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, and fool me 3 times, it's never going to happen. So. I don't think UNiTE will fall for this as many times as they need to.
Coco Pops, he might become Rice Krispies very quickly, gets taken out. Actually, Flash by Tash picking up the kill. Perhaps not the best target for that, but they just wanted to make sure it was secure. Jotorius actually decided to back away in a different direction to the rest of his team.
Oh, Joe.
UNiTE are hit. They might actually be going for this fight. If they can land a good hook. Boosh has actually jumped onto Explosive. He gets Frozen Tomb. Hits his Razor onto
Oh, the shockwave again!
On the backline is gorgeous. Chum the Waters doesn't connect, and Limit's going to be the target here. Does get shut down. Explosive's still alive, but Magic goes down to Boosh.
It's all about Boosh.
And
Look at
Big
Boosh.
is getting taken massively low. Boosh gets another kill. Will pick up Explosive as well, and Boosh 13-0-5. UNiTE dominant in this game.
So, you banned Sion. Do you ban Kassadin now? Because this guy has been out of control.
I think you just don't play Lissandra into
Yeah,
Kassadin.
I mean, I was about to pick up on the fact we're going to see a little bit of a replay here as Boosh gets Zhonya'd at a perfect time. He's going to be in the perfect position. A great shockwave comes down again onto 2 big targets. Jotorius manages to pick up the kill, but it is not enough at this point. As Explosive comes down, he's going to get taken down by Boosh, and it's Hustlin finishing off the job onto Jotorius there, and that's a big cleanup for UNiTE, and it was potentially basically a 4v5, and they managed to lose 1 member and take out 5, so it's not looking good for Void at this point, and I think I think it's about everything you can say about it right now. Void are grasping on to the ledges of the cliffs, which will lead to defeat, and unfortunately they've got 1 finger and UNiTE's boot firmly over it, so UNiTE really have to do a lot to potentially throw this game. Probably the easiest way that Void will win this point is a surrender vote, which a pity surrender vote, which is unlikely going to happen here, as UNiTE are going to take away, I believe, their 3rd dragon, so they're going to get that movement speed bonus. It's just
actually baiting out a little bit here. I think they know that Perilous Void really wants to get some sort of map objective, something to themselves. They're just putting a little bit of bait for something. The movement speed buff will be very big on UNiTE, especially on Boosh as well, because with that Baron buff, he can actually split push really effectively.
And also,
his
chase potential in fights now will be even bigger. You can walk onto the champions after Rift Walk with a little bit more ease. Yeah. But really, all this movement speed bonus is going to do is allow them to get towards the Nexus quicker, because that's all that's going to happen in this game.
That is exactly what we think is going to happen. Jotorius almost gets caught out there. Nice little checking here by UNiTE. They know they're ahead, but they're still putting bindings into bushes. They're still putting that Tornado Sword down.
Oh,
and look at the
damage
going out there. They're going to go into Flash Knight Hash.
Oh, the shockwave
is gorgeous. Explosive is supposed to tube himself in the middle of it. But he'll get taken down. Not even Coco Pox is out. And it's a 5-4 exchange in favor of UNiTE. This is the game for UNiTE. They're going to go 1-0 in this group stage B.
How many times did me and you synchronistically say Shockwave?
Yeah, they've been so on point.
They've been so good.
Absolutely gorgeous play.
I mean, to be honest, all props to Boosh. He's been fantastic in terms of a solo force. But taking through these team fights, the power that is End Limits Orianna, I have not seen a single Shockwave, apart from that one in Thresher mid lane, that didn't hit a minimum of 2 targets, and a minimum of 2 key targets, and then a massive amount of damage coming down from them. End Limit is so good on Orianna.
That he is. Guys, we are going to be back with the next game of Group B of the 4 Nations in just a minute. Make sure you stay tuned. An amazing first game. Next game will be just as good.